U.S. targets oil and natural gas industry's role in global warming with new rule on methane emissions. Associated Press. The Biden administration on Saturday issued a final rule aimed at reducing methane emissions, targeting the U.S. oil and natural gas industry for its role in global warming as President Joe Biden seeks to advance his climate legacy. The Environmental Protection Agency said the rule will sharply reduce methane and other harmful air pollutants generated by the oil and gas industry, promote use of cutting-edge methane detection technologies and deliver significant public health benefits in the four. Below are your comments. I don't mind us going green if we do it in a smart way. But what I do mind is the government taxing you on it. Why can't we just focus on better technology rather than taxing? You ever notice the biggest users of fossil fuel is probably politicians and other government officials? Al Gore, John Kerry, etc. They have multiple big homes, jets, and yachts and probably harm the climate more in 1 year than a lot of us do in a lifetime. But they have a good excuse, not. This is all an overreaction to a very inexact science. Smart and competent people move cautiously when proposing fundamental changes to the fabric of civilization. Plus, politicians are the very last people who should be driving any fundamental changes like this. All the costs will be passed on to the consumer. Get ready to pay a lot more for fuel. Thanks Joe and the ho-ho-ho. If all Americas are not frightened by this Democratic administration's public policy, not certain what will. Democrats are quick to call Republicans fascists when with every step autocratic decisions are being made that stifle civil liberties with impunity, unilaterally destroying our energy and dust. Next news. Trump claims Biden is prosecuting his top foe. So how come Nikki Haley isn't in jail yet? HuffPost. Haley, not the coup-attempting former president, would be the toughest opponent for Biden, recent polling shows. Below are your comments. Joe Biden has more important things to address than going after Trump, and he is doing a good job of addressing them. If Joe Biden was personally after Trump, Trump would have already been put in jail. Look at how Trump has conducted himself as these indictments and hearings have taken place. As Reagan said, "There you go again." What an offense. A writer pointing out obvious facts. There does appear to be a beginning increase in their appeal to those who are open to considering democracy over autocracy. Glimmers even extend to this Democrat being open to considering voting for R. Trump said the Constitution gives him the right to do anything. He thinks Biden has 100% control to force anyone to attack his political opponents. Why does he think that? Because that's what Trump would try to do. Please help me understand this. Republicans in the House voted to oust George Santos for his egregious ooze behavior, and crimes, yet they stand behind their candidate for president, even though he is ACC used of 91 crimes. Don't get me wrong, I believe that Santos needed to be removed. But if Santos wa Trump is being prosecuted because of mountains of evidence and dozens of plea deals for witnesses. These crimes played out on live TV, open and shut cases. His own lawyers are testifying against him. Next news. Pala conservative or moderate? Questions for staffing the next GOP White House. The New York Times. An influential conservative group is using a questionnaire to test the ideology of potential recruits for the next Republican presidential administration. And the questions reveal the extent to which former President Donald Trump has transformed the conservative movement in his image. The questionnaire by the group, the Heritage Foundation, includes questions that suggest it is screening for applicants who want to embrace tariffs, reduce America's military footprint overseas and remove executive. Below are your comments. Consolidation of power in the executive branch is a really bad idea. Basing hiring on loyalty to a president rather than loyalty to the Constitution is abhorrent to Anyo Ne, who actually understands what the U.S. stands for. Trump already thought the AG was his lawyer. He is not. He is the lawyer for T. And who do those unelected federal officials work for? Many for the president. The problem with the Trump administration was that he was too lazy to ask if his cabinet was doing air jobs, he was too dumb to understand how the federal government works, too distracted playing Go. LF. So the deep street. The next what? Lol. Look at the state of the House of Representatives. Chip Roy openly challenging his peers to name an accomplishment of this session of Congress. The last team couldn't write a budget, and today's GOP can't even put together a continuing resolution on. But someone thinks there will. Next news. Haley faces moment of truth in next GOP debate. The Hill. GOP hopeful Nikki Haley faces a moment of truth in the next primary debate Wednesday in Alabama. Can she seize on her momentum and put in a top-level performance that will turn her into a real Reva L for the presidential nomination to former President Trump? The former United Nations ambassador has seen boosts from her. Below are your comments. Listen closely for one new idea or one profound comment. Likely Nikki will offer us none. For me, Nikki Haley is not only shiftless, as can be seen from the many sides she has taken on the AIM issue, but she is of only modest intelligence. I'd love to see Haley's school results. Is she still not ahead of DeSantis? Boy, you wouldn't think so with all of the media blitz about her. Regardless, these debates are meaningless, just exercises in flapping your gums. It is the party base that votes in the primaries. And that base wants Trump and are not listening nay bit to any Trump has skipped the debate stages so far, and plans to forego the next. Because Haley must articulate positive stance on the agenda she's proposing and separate herself from the Trump toadies. GOP hopeful Nikki Haley faces a moment of truth in the next primary debate Wednesday in Alabama. Can she seize on her momentum and put in a top-level performance that will turn her into a real Reva L for the presidential nomination to former President Trump? No, she can't. The next news. The U.S. government can't quit Elon Musk, even amid erratic behavior. Washington Post. Some of Elon Musk's biggest business clients are rethinking their relationship with his tech empire, amid a fresh spurt of controversial behavior. Now, so is Congress. Since Musk parroted anti-Semitic tropes and boosted a debunked conspiracy theory about child sex trafficking, some lawmakers are calling for the federal government to reevaluate its relationship with tech mogul, whose companies receive billions of dollars in federal contracts. Some lawmakers said they were particularly concerned. Below are your comments. The government really shouldn't allow itself to get that dependent on any private individual or entity. Musk being a bleepball is a relatively minor issue, but you could imagine scenarios where being stuck with a person or private entity could be a severe problem for the U.S. government. Musk is another of those self-made men who take billions and billions from the U.S. government, American taxpayers, to fund their businesses, and then complain about the taxes they don't pay. The best thing he's ever done is destroy Twitter. If he keeps up this bizarre behavior, I'm going to start to believe Musk is related to Trump. It certainly appears as if Musk has learned to speak Trumpese. Why slander Elon as erratic behavior? Free speech is still a right that he may exercise to many who approve. Musk spoke his mind and is hence deemed erratic, in contrast with the left. Next news. Get ready for the Iowa caucuses. Do they still matter? CNN. The first test of the 2024 presidential election hits January 15, when Iowa Republicans gather to see a caucus in high school gyms, community buildings and churches. Below are your comments. Caucuses are a quaint idea whose time has passed in the political landscape of the 21st century. I live 2 time zones removed from Iowa, and it's known to be a conservative red state. It has no impact on how I cast my vote. It primarily benefits the economy of Iowa and has little political relevance except it is the first of the last 18 Iowa caucuses. 3 Iowa winners went on to become president while 15 did not. Maybe 150 years ago the Iowa caucus was important. Today, it contributes little or nothing and is a poor predictor of national sentiment, at best given an early idea about who March conservatives favor as POTUS. They matter because the media talks about it daily. A state of white Republicans and farmland desperately need attention every 4 years. A caucus is absolutely meaningless. IA will never be a primary state because that requires coming into the 20th century. That's a scary place. The whole world basically knows Trump is a pathological liar, scum of the earth. But look at his MAGA cult. They are mostly white, uneducated, poor Americans. Listen how they talk. Look at how they dress. It's like going back in time. Trump has took advantage of these people and used them to get elected. Next news. Republicans insist on deposing Hunter Biden, saying public hearing must wait. The New York Times. Washington. House Republicans on Friday demanded that Hunter Biden, the president's son, sit for a closed-door deposition in their impeachment inquiry into his father, rejecting his request to testify only in public and suggesting he could face punishment if he did not agree to their terms. In a letter, Reps. James Comer of Kentucky, chair of the Oversight Committee, and Jim Jordan of Ohio, chair of the Judiciary Committee, said they looked forward to Biden appearing publicly at the appropriate. Below are your comments. I think all our committee meetings should be public. We have the technology. I understand certain national security issues and classified issues need privacy. But horse trading and political folly should be seen in the light of day. Amounted to a demand that he receive special treatment, a pretty funny statement, coming as it does. From Jim Jordan. Hunter should have just followed Jim's example and merely ignored the subpoena. Actually, it's special treatment by having it behind closed doors. A public deposition and testimony in Congress is considered the norm. The subpoenas Mr. Biden has received compel him to appear before the committees for a deposition, they added. They are not mere suggestions open to Mr. Biden's interpretation or preference. The same subpoenas that Jim Jordan conveniently ignored. Next news. Biden campaign struggles to keep young social media influencers in the fold. CNN. Ashley Wren posted a more than minute-long video to her Instagram last September, enthusiastically telling her more than 100,000 followers about meeting President Joe Biden and emphasizing the importance of the Inflation Reduction Act. Below are your comments. This is the least of the things the Biden administration is struggling with. There's not a whole lot of good they can point to having done. Lowering inflation? They raised it. Spending a bunch of money? Anyone can do that. All the international spats and wars going on? Prosecuting the lead-in. He's too old and brings nothing to the table for young voters. Many are disenchanted with his leadership. Time to move on. CNN publishes about a dozen different president polls. 63% disapprove of Joe's performance. Harvard Youth poll gives him a 36% popularity. That's among the students. Joe's not going to be president in 2025. I'll bet the White House will try to get Taylor Swift a big card to play in their last desperate attempt to keep power. We need fresh new young blood with new ideas to get us back on track. I am 71 and the has-beens and cobwebs in office now, both Democrats and Republicans, gotta go and we nay. Ed younger blood in there. All they do is bicker and point fingers and never accomplish a dang thing. No Biden, no Trump, let's GE. Next news. Speaker Mike Johnson says he thinks he has the votes to authorize Biden impeachment inquiry. NBC News. Speaker Mike Johnson said Saturday that he thinks House Republicans have the votes to launch a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden, insisting that such a move has become a necessary street. EP. Below are your comments. He may have the votes, but he doesn't have the evidence. Just ask Jim Jordan if he's found actual evidence that will hold up to legal scrutiny. There's literally no evidence Biden committed a crime. In fact, the Republicans haven't even been able to coherently express what crime they claim that Biden has committed. Maybe he has the votes, maybe not. What he doesn't have is any credible evidence or any reason to be doing it other than to please his MAGA worshippers and social media propagandists. It doesn't help our country or the American citizen in any way. The House GOP talks about shady business dealings. What crimes have been committed? Specifically, what is the crime that Joe Biden is supposed to have committed? State the specific federal code violated. The House denigrates Hunter Biden and claims he provides no services for payment, yet as Rome burns, the House twiddles its thumbs. We've got problems on so many different fronts there's too many to count, yet the House wants to consume time on an effort that will lead us nowhere. Next news. No good answers for Biden as voters recoil over border crossings. NBC News. President Joe Biden finds himself searching for answers on immigration as voters raise concerns over border crossings ahead of the 2024 election. Below are your comments. It's not that hard. Yes, we are a country of immigrants, so stop that argument. We also have a capacity that we can keep. We have many Americans homeless, in poverty and struggling to find their next meal. Until we get a grasp on those problems, we cannot pile on with everyone that wants to come here. Biden's biggest mistake on the border was capitulating to the far leftists and stopping construction on the border wall to make a political statement. If the border security agents say that the wall helps, then it helps. Why not listen to the people who actually work at the border? The wall may not. There are only two kinds of immigrants: legal and illegal. Why is that so hard to understand, especially for the media? Illegals don't belong here and there's already a federal law prohibiting them from crossing illegal. Why? End of story. Conservatives do not and never did have a problem with IM. There is a solution. Stop letting people into the country. Stop promising jobs, shelter, healthcare, etc. Stop Chicago and other so-called sanctuary cities from allowing camps and building shelters with taxpayer money. Next news. U.S. joins in other nations in swearing off coal power to clean the climate. Associated Press. The United States committed Saturday to the idea of phasing out coal power plants, joining 56 other nations in kicking the coal habit that's a huge factor in global warming. U.S. Special Envoy John Kerry announced that America was joining the Powering Past Coal Alliance, which means the Biden administration commits to building no new coal plants and phasing out existing plants. No date was given for when the existing plants would have to go, but other Biden regulatory actions and international. Below are your comments. While we bleep ourselves in the foot and shut down coal, India and China are increasing their coal use, say exponentially negating anything we do. The anti-choice left has been forcing coal-fired power plants to close for 15 years, destroying good-paying American jobs every step of the way. And to what avail? Global warming cultists pretend temps are warmer today than 15 years ago. Thus, the world was cooler when coal and oil fueled the plane. We will save the earth no matter what it costs the American people. Now where's the champagne? For every coal plant we shut down, China opens up 2 more. I will believe it when Greta Thunberg does. Until then, the propaganda wants what it wants in the world, and it's natural. Next news. U.S. Justice Department, realtors argue over probe into fees, listings. Reuters. The Justice Department and National Association of Realtors tangled on Friday in an appeals court over the government's decision to close, and then reopen, an antitrust investigation into the way PLE pay the thousands of dollars in fees when they buy or sell a home. The Justice Department, during the Trump administration, closed an investigation into the realtors' organization. The Biden administration reopened it in 2021 so it could probe how broadly housing listings are label and WA. Below are your comments. I wish they would also examine brokers' fees for truckers. The cost of moving freight has gone up, but that money disappears before it reaches the drivers. Make brokering transparent. Well, of course there will be a dispute. Bankers professionally hide their income, but there are realtors who do nothing and receive income. The realtor fees are simply obscene. Don't worry, Biden is only going after people that make over $400,000 a year. Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. That's a George Soros move. Criminals be free. However, if you stand up to a leftist agenda and don't allow our schools to indoctrinate our children, you are a domestic terrorist. The Bible says in the last days evil will be called good and good will be called evil. Wake up, kids. Next news. Muslim Americans face abandon Biden dilemma. Then who? Reuters. Muslim American leaders from 6 battleground states on Saturday vowed to mobilize their communities against President Joe Biden's re-election over his support of Israel's war in Gaza, but they have yet to settle on an alternative 2024 candidate. The states are among a handful that allowed Biden to win the 2020 election. Opposition from their sizable Muslim and Arab American communities could complicate the president's path to electoral college victory next year. Below are your comments. Biden embracing Benjamin Netanyahu says this to me. The world's most powerful man begging for mercy for the Palestinian people and for the Middle East. Please, show compassion by allowing aid to the Palestinian and Israeli people. I see a president that has said don't make the same mistake we made. I swear the stupidity of these people is endless. They don't want the orange imbecile, but by not supporting Biden they will end up with him. The problem with the Muslims is that they were cheering when Hamas massacred 1,200 men, women and children, burning babies alive, raping women in mass, and the nay can always go back to Muslimabad. Democracy is always about choosing the lesser of two evils. Well, us Republicans don't want you either. Next news. A brief history of House expulsions, traitors, felons and, now, Santos. The New York Times. With his expulsion from the House of Representatives on Friday, George Santos, RNY, joined a cell court group of disgraced U.S. politicians consigned to that ignominious fate. In the history of Congress, only 20 members, 5 representatives and 15 senators, had previously been removed from office by a vote of their peers, according to the Congressional Res. Service. The reason for most of the earlier ousters was disloyalty to the United States, specifically for backing the Confederacy over. Below are your comments. We have now 0.5 more to eliminate from Congress, so do not stop with Santos. Get rid of those who are against our allies and policies. Santos looks just like that photo of Burnett. This proves reincarnation, and that people really never do change. Santos got what he deserved. The GOP does not elect public servants anymore. It's all carnival barkers and con men. Tubeville, Matt P1D0 Gauez, Marjorie Trader Grimm, and Vaping B00B Birch should all be expelled. They are destroying Congress with the Trump traitor. Most of the criminals resigned before being thrown out. Next news. Cleet Keller, Olympic gold medalist swimmer, gets 6 months in home detention for January 6 Capitol riot. Associated Press. Olympic gold medalist swimmer Cleet Keller, who threw his USA team jacket in a trash can after he stormed the U.S. Capitol, was sentenced on Friday to 6 months of home detention for joining the mob's Jan. 6, 2021, attack on the seat of American democracy. At 6'6", Keller towered over police officers guarding the Capitol and other Donald Trump support who breached the building, and he was quickly identified by authorities. Video captured Keller leading profane chants directed at then H. Below are your comments. Guess it doesn't take a lot of character to swim well. He should be in prison. Everyone from J6 deserves prison, including Trump. I guess you need to blame everyone else for your bad decisions in life. Get a job and grow up and take ownership of your future. He got off easy. His time would have been a better spent speaking to youths through the iron bars on his cell if he really wanted to send them a message about accountability. Lost his job, lost custody of his kids, all because he followed that obese orange rabbit down the hole. To Loserville. Next news. What happens after the Israel-Hamas war ends? Two-state solution faces strong headwinds. LA Times. The Biden administration views the two-state solution, an independent Palestinian state alongside Israel, as the only way to stop generations of violence. Below are your comments. It is a pretty tough deal to accomplish considering the Palestinians have rejected the two-state solution multiple times since the end of the war. The next really is going to have to be forced exile of the Palestinians back to Jordan and force the Jordanians to deal with them. Unfortunately, the only Israeli prime minister that was serious about a two-state solution, Yitzhak Rabin, was assassinated at a peace rally by a young, ultra-nationalist settler in 1995. Benjamin Netanyahu was supportive of the West Bank settler movement and not so of a two-state solution. President Clinton came up with a two-state solution which for the most part Israel accepted. World terrorist leader, head of the PLO, turned it down, which prompted the late ambassador Abba Eban to say, "Once again Arafat never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity." Next news. Kevin McCarthy, who talks from notes, says Biden is old because he talks from notes. HuffPost. Photographic evidence reveals that all U.S. presidents, lawmakers and even a 58-year-old former GOP House Speaker use notes in meetings. Below are your comments. President Biden went off script last year, during a State of the Union address. He spoke ad-lib for a good 20 minutes. During the entire time, he just annihilated the Republicans, even ripping concessions from them on live TV. As the announcer said at the time, Joe Biden mopped the floor with Americans can be thankful. Note reading, incredibly short-tenured House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will ever be president. Rather use notes than have somebody just say crazy things off the top of their head. Of course he uses notes. Any good leader does. It is a good tool for staying on topic, and making sure you cover everything you need to. And this is the same guy who defended Trump's keeping classified documents in his Mar-a-Lago home in a bathroom. McCarthy said at least the bathroom door has a lock on it. The door locks from the inside. Einstein. Next news. Cheney. Johnson is a collaborator in effort to overturn 2020 election. Politico. In 2021, as Congress prepared to certify the election results, Johnson urged his colleagues to join him in opposing the results. Below are your comments. Instead of wasting time and money on a dead horse, why don't the GOP use the time and money to help our country and people? If they can't get over all this mess that Trump caused, then they are not the people we need in office. Time to vote them out and replace them with Republicans who will work for. Last week, folks traveled across country to celebrate the holiday with family. The new speaker went to Mar-a-Lago for his marching orders. That is all I need to know. Winking face. It is unfair to single out Speaker Johnson as the only collaborator with Trump in this case. All Republican senators and members of House of Reps who supported Trump's efforts at stopping the January 6, 2021 certification of electoral votes for the 2020 presidential polls were all collaborators with H. Next news. U.S. House close to vote on Biden impeachment inquiry, Speaker says. The Guardian. After months of Republican investigations, Mike Johnson told Fox he believed GOP conference has a no-GH votes to launch. Below are your comments. Although I voted for Joe Biden, if he is legitimately found guilty of an illegal offense as president, I, 1, would want him held accountable, and 2, I would not vote for him again. See how easy that is, Trump supporters. If Republicans are for rule of law, then show proof of Joe breaking the law. A Republican House committee, earlier this year, found no proof of Joe Biden breaking the law, and the Y are simply recycling accusations. They have no proof. Since Republicans have zero policies, no platform to run or govern, the next thing is to create chaos and do what Trump wants. Republicans will lose the House in 2024. How many laws have they passed this year? They ought to know the basics. Next news. Search warrant provides new details of bleep accusation against Florida Republican Party Chair Politico. Christian Ziegler and his wife Bridget are both active in Republican politics in the state. Below are your comments. Just another example of the GOP hypocrisy of do as I say not as I do. People like this push severe punishment for anyone that violates their beliefs, but when they do the same they are supposed to be excused and forgiven. The party of family values, everyone. I guess DeSantis and his wife do not really know their friends, or they think it's okay. Bridget has been on the school board for years, and yet she's been having sexual relations with this woman for over a year? Pardon my concern, but is that what Moms for Liberty is really all about, the liberty to Jew? I strongly urge CPS to interview his 2 young daughters to see what abuse his grooming of them has caused. Next news. Rand Paul performs Heimlich on fellow GOP senator. NBC News. Joni Ernst of Iowa thanks Sen. Rand Paul in a post on X after the incident at a Republican lunch in the Capitol. Below are your comments. Finally, Rand Paul has actually done something to help someone, although Ernst couldn't even be EFUL without having to make it political, and so I'll add this to trump her inane comment. The GOP is nothing more than a sad sack of a do-nothing, revengeful, traitor-supporting party. Kids, let's give Rand Paul lots of credit here. It's taken him years and years, but he's finally done something worthwhile as a senator. I think there are easier ways to get a hug from Rand Paul, and to bring politics into it is just Pickle Gop. Why is this still a news item? Hope the hundreds of regular folk going through something like that get the same news attention. Next news. Chris Christie may not appear on Republican primary ballot in Maine. CBS News. The former New Jersey governor fell short of the minimum 2,000 signatures needed from Maine voters to qualify for the state's Republican presidential primary. Below are your comments. He hasn't dropped out yet? I hadn't heard his name in like weeks, so I thought he had. This is to a great degree the very same process of granting or denying ballot access to a candidate. That has all the Trumpsters outraged. State elections officials determine whether a candidate meets the requirements to be placed on the ballot. If they do, the state elections official puts them He appears from space. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.